Hello. Hopefully we have got this all working. It is 5:32 here in Denver. It's dark outside, as you can tell. And my name is Sherry Ott. I am one of the chapter leaders for Travel Massive Colorado. And I'm going to be honest, this is the first time I've ever used this StreamYard, so you're going to have to bear with me a little bit. Hopefully I'm going to get it right. Anyway, we are getting ready to start here. And I was just going to go over a few little updates and announcements, as well as a little bit on what to expect for tonight's live stream. It's hard to tell. It looks like we have a few people here. You can watch on YouTube, I believe, also. Okay, so we're all set there. So as I said, my name is Sherry Ott. This is the Colorado Travel Massive live event. My other partner in crime, Juliana Brosti, is not here tonight, sadly. She is off working, which is great for anyone who can work at this time. So it'll just be myself and Jason, who's going to be our guest. And I expect at this point that we're probably going to talk for about an hour max. I encourage everyone, hopefully, who is joining us, at least from the Colorado chapter, because it's 5:30, feel free to have a beer. I am breaking out one of my atomic pumpkin beers because it's still kind of fall. What the heck? So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, I guess. A couple of things I wanted to go over from a Travel Massive perspective that you may not know is Travel Massive has started these really cool social virtual meetups and social events, basically. I have not been to one myself yet, but they're really fun things. They're like cocktail parties. I believe there's some scavenger hunts. And this is basically a way for Travel Massive to hold more just social events, because I think we're all kind of tired probably of all these Zoom events and meetings and so on and so forth. So it's a good way to network with people from around the world. They're open to anyone. They are actually free of charge. They ask if you want to give a donation, you can. Some of the things coming up, like I said, I think there was a cocktail making class this morning. I think there's a couple more coming up. I also believe there is one that our esteemed chapter leader, Jules, is going to be hosting, I believe, on December 1st, and it's going to be a world scavenger hunt. So I really don't know what that's about exactly, but if it's got Jules involved, it's going to be fun. So check those out. The other thing I wanted to mention is that Travel Massive does live events. They have been perfecting this whole process throughout the pandemic, which is pretty cool. Live event like this one. So this is recorded basically, or will be recorded, and you can watch it later on. So you may want to, if you like this. These are more things that are work oriented, obviously, industry oriented. If you like this, then definitely go to the Travel Massive website and check out the Travel Massive live events that have happened in the past. There's a whole bunch of really great things out there. I'm sure that if you go out there and just look at the variety, you'll find something that appeals to you and you can take a listen and learn. So we have some fun and we have some work stuff. And then regarding the Colorado chapter, Jules and I had set it up so that we normally wanted to meet about once a quarter. That's obviously been really hard this year, but we have done it virtually, I believe, once a quarter now. So this is our November meetup. And I would say we'll probably not do one again until January, potentially. So look for that. And in the meantime, if you have any suggestions or if you would like to be a speaker at one of our Colorado meetups, just let Jules or I know, and we are always looking for ideas. So, okay, I'd say it's about time to get started and talk a little bit about credit cards. So I'm going to bring Jason into the stream here. I think I got that right.
Hi there, Sherry.
Hi. So I'll just do a quick little intro. Jason, we're very lucky to have Jason. First of all, he's here in Colorado, which is super cool. And Jason is the director of credit card content for money.com and one of the country's top experts on credit cards and travel rewards. He's going to be talking to us tonight a little bit about how to control your finances during this travel downturn, as well as how you can also make something of your points or start really building up points for future travel for hopefully when we're going to be able to go again soon. Things are looking up in that department, so let's hope we can make some progress there. So Jason, I will let you take it away.
Thanks, Sherry. I appreciate the introduction. Yeah, I mean, she kind of gave you a brief overview of who I am. I'm going to throw my slides up here and give you a little bit more info. Do you have my slides there? I think maybe I need to go on the screen share here.
Yeah, try that.
Yeah, let me go back here.
It has not popped up for me yet.
Let's do this.
Okay, let's see if I can do that. That's great. Oh, and I'm gonna cut in just for 1 second because I did forget to say, definitely leave comments and questions. And Jason, you said you would take those at any time.
Yeah.
So definitely just put them in. You can put them in the, there's a comment section. If you're following along on the Travel Massive channel, there's a live chat. I'll be monitoring that and I will let Jason, I'll just kind of break in and let Jason know if there are any questions that he can answer.
Yeah, I have it in the corner of my eye. If you see me looking over, that's
super.
I'm checking for comments. So,
okay,
but if you want to break in and let me know if I'm missing something, that's good too.
Okay.
Cool. All right. We got everything squared away technically. So who am I? I started writing about credit cards and travel rewards back in 2008. Basically, I was really, really bored at my job. And I'm lifelong fascinated by travel. I actually am a pilot as well. I have a commercial pilot's license, and so that maybe informs my views on travel a little bit, or gives me some street cred when it comes to talking about airplanes. And so in 2008, I was really bored at my job at the Federal Center, the U.S. Geological Survey, and I was reading a lot of mainstream information about travel that I didn't like. I thought it was kind of obvious or dumb. They'd say, to save money on luggage fees, pack less. And I was like, oh, come on. So I came up with other ways to save money on luggage fees, one of which, of course, is having the right credit card. I started writing a blog that nobody read, but then quickly I learned that I could make money writing for other people as a freelance writer, almost exclusively online. I was really excited when I got a call from the Points guy in 2011 and asking if I'd heard of them and if I'd want to be their first contributor. And the answer was yes and yes. And so I became the senior Points and Miles contributor there. And I've written for over 100 outlets, a lot of it on the subject of travel, a lot of it on the subject of credit cards. As I started writing freelance, I found that, frankly, credit cards paid well. And credit cards were very intertwined with travel. A lot of the top credit cards, as I'll show you, are travel rewards cards. I have about 36 active credit card accounts. Lately, I've been holding up this book showing kind of flipping through, but you'll have to trust me unless you want me to pull out the book, in which case I will. I haven't paid for travel in nearly a decade. And when I tell people at an event like Travel Massive that, they say, oh, you just take a lot of fam trips. And certainly I know people who go from fam trip to fam trip to fam trip. On average, maybe I do 1 or 2 a year. And it's not really part of my free travel plan. My free travel plan is all about earning points and miles from credit cards and spending that on travel. I founded an event called CardCon, which is the conference for credit and credit card media. And it was originally an outgrowth of a larger event called FinCon, which is a financial bloggers conference. CardCon could not happen in Denver this year, although I had planned to do it, but it happened virtually. And in fact, it happened this week. It just wrapped up this afternoon. It was Monday through Friday, 3 hours a day this week. And it was a pretty good success. I'm glad I did it, but it was not nearly as fun as getting together in person, which is our plan for next year here in Denver, the first week of June. This summer, I had the same experience many of you had, in that a lot of the outlets I wrote for about travel dried up. Some of them, like Smarter Travel, ceased operation, went out of business. Others, like Points guys, stopped accepting freelance contributions. So I pivoted, and thankfully I had a relationship with the money.com, which used to be Money Magazine. And I had a relationship with the owners, and I was able to secure a full-time position there directing their credit card content, which was a relief. So today I want to talk to you about credit cards and how they relate to our needs as travel professionals. I say, credit cards are, first of all, they're just essential for travel. And try renting a car, reserving a hotel without one. And maybe you've had the experience of waiting in line behind someone attempting to rent a car without a credit card. They want their address and their social and their employer and their blood type and their firstborn pretty much to try to rent a car without a credit card. But with a credit card, most of the time you'll get insurance for free. So it's essential. Same thing with hotels. Credit cards offer generous travel rewards and benefits. If you have a premium card, you get things like trip cancellation insurance, trip delay insurance. The trip cancellation insurance actually covers quarantines ordered by doctors. So that is suddenly very, very relevant. Whereas last year I could never imagine being quarantined. This year it's pretty much a normal thing. I mentioned rental car insurance. It could offer lost luggage benefits. And then there's the good stuff like the airport business lounge, benefits that are specific to airlines, such as a free checked bag, priority boarding. Hotels will give you elite status, which will give you a room upgrade or free breakfast. All those are great because I don't like to spend a dime unless I have to. I'm a pretty frugal guy. Credit cards are also the most secure and convenient method of payment, whether you're at home or on the road. If your credit card is stolen, I could launch into a huge explanation, but in the end, you're not liable for anything as long as you report any fraudulent charges. And of course, having a credit card with you means you have lots and lots of spending power, which you may or may not have in your debit card account or checking account. So managing your credit cards, the first thing I want to talk to you is just kind of some general credit card stuff with an eye towards travel, us as travel professionals. And then I'm going to go into the whole how to travel for free points and miles thing. So in the credit card industry, we have a couple terms, kind of loose industry insider terms, deadbeats and revolvers. And the deadbeats are people who avoid interest by paying their charges in full and on time every month. And I'm happy to be a deadbeat. My parents thankfully brought me up that way, is to say, never charge anything to your credit card that you cannot pay off in full at the end of the month. And they would call me in college and say, have you paid your credit card bill in full? And I'd say, yes, Mom, just like I did 3 days ago when you asked me the exact same question. So they would just beat it into me. On the other hand, revolvers are people who revolve a balance. They pay interest because they're not paying the balance in full. Credit card interest is not tax deductible. It's also an unsecured loan, so it's higher than other forms of interest. It's the average rate in the country is about 15%, which is much, much higher than, say, like a secured loan, like a car loan or a home equity loan. So about 50% of Americans are deadbeats and 50% are revolvers, or the percentage of credit card users. And as you've probably guessed, I strongly, strongly encourage everyone to be a deadbeat, someone who pays their balance in full and does not incur any interest charges. When you do that, your credit card becomes an extremely valuable, powerful method of payment, not a means of financing your purchases. So the question I get a lot is, how many credit cards should you have? And they hear I have dozens of credit cards, and they come up with all sorts of assumptions about me being irresponsible, which couldn't be further from the truth. And the truth is, you should never have a single credit card more than you can manage responsibly. And for some people, that number is zero. Credit cards are very, very powerful financial instruments. Think of them like, say, power tools. And if you know someone who cannot safely handle a power tool, they should not own one. Same thing with credit cards. If having a credit card causes you to overspend, causes you to incur debt, causes you to incur late payments or make your payments late and have bad credit, it's simply not for you. And that's not a value judgment as for you as a person. It's just some tools are not right for everyone. But for the majority, I think of people who can pay their balance in full, they can manage their credit cards responsibly. I'll talk a little bit more about that. You'll get better credit scores because the more positive information that's on your credit report, that's reported to the credit bureaus, the higher your credit score will be. Think of it as just like you're living in a small town and you frequently borrow money from people and you always pay them back. You're going to have a very good reputation. And that reputation is essentially what what a credit score is. So again, what is responsible credit card use? It means paying your bills on time, carrying very little, if any, debt. And the truth is, the credit scoring formulas are extremely complex. They're not publicly disclosed. I know many, if not most, of the top experts in this field. Some of them were at my conference today, and they can go on and on and on. I've been at conferences where they talk about this all day, and I say, forget it. Forget all the details. Pay your bills on time, carry very little, if any, debt, and it's impossible not to have excellent credit. And I actually had this discussion with a gentleman who most people consider to be the top expert in the field. And I said, what do you think of that statement? He thought about it. He says, okay, pay your bills on time, don't carry any debt, and you can't help but have excellent credit. He goes, yeah, I agree with that. So the other aspect is going over your statement every month, looking for fraudulent charges, any mistakes, any reoccurring charges, which is that shouldn't be there, which is a lot of companies exist to just bill you every month forever. So easiest way to manage your credit cards. I actually had a stack of paper bills, and they were all due a different day of the month. And eventually I myself had trouble, probably because I had dozens of cards. So eventually I called them all up and I said, I want them all due on the same date. And the law says that they have to offer you the same date of the month. And every credit card I'm aware of will allow you to pick that date. So in fact, what I did is I made all my, about half my credit cards that have so many due on the 10th and the other half due on the 20th. So tomorrow's the 20th. I'm going to double check that all my auto pay is working and I have money in all my accounts. Auto pay is a feature that every credit card issuer offers, and you could set it to pay your statement balance in full every month on the due date, which is exactly how you want to do it. So you want to find a date before then to review those charges and confirm you have the funds available in auto pay. If you have to move the funds around, that's your day to do it. And frankly, people ask me, how do I decide which credit card, or how do I remember which credit card to use for which purchases? Because some credit cards offer you bigger bonuses, say at the grocery store, or at a restaurant, or some other place. And I say, get a piece of tape, like Scotch tape, and write, gas station, grocery store, restaurant. And so you know which credit card to use where to get the most points and miles. Okay. I already went that way. Okay. So I want to touch on this briefly because it's very important, how to pay off credit card debt. I know probably most of you are responsible credit card users and don't have debt, but I also know that 2020 is a year like no other. And it's no shame if you've been struggling and you've had to incur some debt. Hopefully your business will be picking up and you'll be trying to get out of this debt soon. The first thing I would do if I had incurred credit card debt would be, like the saying says, if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. I would stop using a credit card as my primary method of payment. I would switch to cash, checks, whatever it took to stop incurring more credit card debt. And when I did have additional cash left over, I would use that to pay down my debt. There's also a product called a 0% APR balance transfer credit card. And the 0% offers can also be on new purchases as well. This is an interesting tool. And what you do is you open up one of these credit cards, and it might offer 6 or 12 or 15 or even 18 months of 0% interest on balance transfers. And what that new card will do is essentially pay off your old balance. And of course, that balance will be essentially effectively transferred to the new card and will have no interest being incurred during that promotional financing period. So here you could have a year, 15, 18 months to pay off your balance without any interest charges being incurred. So you'll pay it off faster and you'll spend less money. The only downside is there's a balance transfer fee, typically of 3%, but occasionally 5%, which is a little much. But 3% is usually worth it to save that 15, 20% interest for a year, year and a half. So that's probably the best strategy out there. If you find the 0% APR new purchases, you can always just put your new purchases on that card. And then instead of paying off those purchases that are not incurring interest, you could pay off the balance on another account, and you won't have any balance transfer fee, but it's more complicated. Another thing I tell people is pay early and often. What does that mean? It means that credit card interest is calculated based on your account's average daily balance, meaning every single day your balance is looked at and interest is assessed based on what it is. So what does that mean? It means don't pay your, don't make your payment at the end of, at the last minute at the day it's due. Make your payment the earliest time you can. So for example, if you have an outlet and they cut you a check, take whatever portion of that check you can and immediately send it to your credit card to pay off that balance. Every day you wait will incur more interest. And you could do that twice a month. You could do that 10 times a month. You could do that twice a day. The sooner you make those payments, the sooner you bring down the balance, the less interest you'll incur. And also the less, you'll eliminate the chance that you'll find something really cool to buy with that money rather than pay off your credit card balance, which you should. So let's see, next one. Introduction to travel rewards. So, I started getting really, really excited about travel rewards about 15 years ago. I got married. My wife is from overseas. And shortly after we got married, we traveled together to visit her family. And she's from Israel. And we spent about $3,000 on 2 economy class tickets, round trip tickets to Israel. And you can imagine on a flight that long, nothing terrible happened, but we were just miserable. It was just an ordeal. And I said, well, we just spent $3,000 to be miserable for whatever, 18 hours in each direction. And I can't do this every year. I can't afford it. We're going to have kids. It's going to be like, the cost of a car every time we want to visit your family. So about that time, I did some business travel. We were renovating a house. I put the house renovations and the business travel on United Airlines credit card. I started learning everything I could about this. Our next trip to Israel, we redeemed our United miles for business class tickets on Lufthansa, and we had a blast. It was a lie flat seat. I looked around at all the other people in business class, and I whispered to my wife, I said, I think we're the only ones who took the bus to the airport here. And then at the end of this really great meal, they brought a dessert cart down the aisle, and we were just dying laughing. It was hysterical. We couldn't believe there was a dessert cart on an airplane. So that's what we did with our points and miles, and we were hooked. Since then, I've never left the country and coach. I don't pay for any overseas travel. It took me a few years to the point where I didn't even pay for any domestic travel since, say, 11 or 12. I haven't paid for any domestic travel. So as a travel professional, what does that mean? It means that I free myself of any obligation to the destination that offers to pay for my travel. Certainly, like I said, I do accept 1 or 2 fam trips a year, and I have fun. They're great, as we all know. But most of, 95% of my travel, if not more, I was traveling about 2 or 3 times a month before COVID, is all on my own dime. And so if I want to go to Florida and explore the Keys, I don't have to call the Florida Convention Visitors Bureau. I just book a ticket. If I want to, someone invites me to speak at a conference in Austin, I just go because I have points and miles. And so I speak at about a dozen conferences a year. I produce my own conference. I obviously take lots of other types of leisure trips and semi-work trips where I do some work and some leisure. And it's a lot of fun. And I don't worry about the cost. I only worry about the time. And the fun thing is you could still earn points and miles from fam trips. I got my first overseas fam trip last year. I went to Spain on behalf of Hyatt. Sure enough, the ticket they purchased for me was eligible to earn points and miles. So I made sure to put my frequent flyer mileage number in, and I got a lot of American Airlines miles. So most airfare that a destination purchases is paid and eligible. If the airline itself is kind of your sponsor, they might give you some kind of a non-rev ticket. That's what they call it, non-revenue, and those are not eligible for points and miles. But the opposite could be true too. They could get you, usually a hotel. I don't think I've ever earned hotel points on a fam trip because usually the hotel comps it. So the first thing I tell people about earning points and miles, because I'm sure we all have frequent flyer mile accounts, is organization. Award Wallet is the premier tool. There used to be many. Award Wallet kind of put them all out of business. And you put in your frequent flyer number, your password. It keeps track of all your points and miles. To log into any one of your hotel, airline, credit card, rental car accounts, you just click on it, and it logs you in automatically. So not only do I keep track of all mine accounts, I do it for my wife, my kids, my parents, basically anyone who wants me to help them. I say, just give me your information, and I keep it in an Award Wallet. Anyone who's willing to trust me with that, and I help them manage their their points and miles. I opt into a lot of promotions and offers. Now, this is kind of the opposite of my philosophy of life. Usually I don't want to be on junk mail lists, and I don't want to get promotions and spam. But when it comes to credit cards and travel rewards, there's a lot of really great stuff out there. The other day, there was a United app, and if you made 3 like token purchases, like $1, $2 purchases, you got 10,000 miles. So sure enough, I did it for myself. I did it for my wife. I bought whatever $10 worth of stuff. Someone was like an ebook I wouldn't even read, or ordered some potato chips from a sandwich shop I never even picked up, and 10,000 miles, which is worth maybe $100, $200. There's another app called Travel Freely, and my friend Zach Hood here in Denver produces this app, and it's great for organizing credit cards. So those are a few tips to kind of up your game from kind of a casual points and miles person to a serious one. So how do I personally earn points and miles? So I have 3 strategies, or 3 main strategies of doing this. One is the credit card sign-up bonus. The credit card industry, I tell people, is really, really beautiful in a certain way. It's the only industry that I'm aware of, or one of the only ones that I can think of, where the industry is extremely competitive, right? There's dozens, if not hundreds of card issuers out there just begging for your business. And at the same time, it's highly profitable. Okay, so usually you're one or the other. An industry is one or the other. And so if you're competitive and profitable, it means you can literally pay your customers to try your product. And that's what a sign-up bonus is. You can sign up for credit card bonuses that are worth $1,000 or more. When it comes to free travel, it could be much more. Right now, the Chase Inc. Business Preferred is a business credit card, and it gives you 100,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points, which are worth a bare minimum of $1,500, and potentially much, much more, depending on how you redeem the points. So that's just an example. You can earn multiple bonuses in the same program. So when I say like Chase Ultimate Rewards, I can earn a bonus from 2 or 3 different business cards, and then from the consumer cards, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Sapphire Preferred, the Freedom. So it's like, I don't know. I guess it's like kind of like a restaurant where they're giving away free samples, and they don't mind if you just order one thing off. If you just order everything off the menu as a free sample, and you have a whole meal and you walk out. I mean, it's really hyper generous, and people take advantage of that. And I don't see anything wrong with that. You just keep the card for a year. You pay your balance in full. You don't just get the bonus and cancel. I think that's a very bad idea for lots of reasons. But certainly you can imagine eventually the credit card issuers would kind of figure that out, or kind of catch on to that strategy. And they have. American Express lets you get 1 bonus per lifetime per product. So if I've had the American Express Platinum card a few years ago, I can't sign up for it again and get the bonus. Now, what happens eventually, though, is Amex kind of forgets after about 7 years. Chase has something called 524. They won't approve anyone for a credit card if they've opened 5 credit cards, a total of 5 cards anywhere within the last 24 months. So, there are you do need to do some research on this if you're planning on kind of scaling this up and signing up for lots of credit cards. The other way I earn points and miles is by what I call optimizing my spending. I use the card that gives me the most bonuses, points or miles, most values, for any particular purchase I'm going to make. So right now, my American Express Gold card, here it is the card that gives me 4 points per dollar on dining and groceries. And these points transfer to frequent flyer miles. So they're very valuable. The Chase Sapphire Reserve gives me 3 points per dollar on all travel and dining. And if you read the fine print, you find out travel includes tolls, it includes ride shares, it includes parking, all sorts of good stuff like that, public transportation. So yeah, when I take the RTD to the airport, I put it on my Sapphire Reserve, and I get about 30 points each way, 3 points per dollar times the $10 fare. The Chase Freedom Unlimited I use for all my non-bonus spending. That card gives me 1.5 points on everything, whereas the other cards I mentioned only give me 1 point on all the non-bonus purchases. So I'm constantly optimizing my spending. It doesn't sound necessarily, what's 1.5 points versus 3 points, but sooner or later, we're talking about a lot of points. Another thing I do is I do tricks and promotions.
I have a question, Jason. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
First of all, this is fascinating. I have a million questions for myself, but
Okay.
Daniel asked a question. What about the minimum spends to acquire the introductory points? For example, it is rather difficult for most people to spend $15,000 within 3 months and be able to pay it off quickly.
Oh, that's a great question. So thankfully, most of the offers are not that difficult. So a typical offer is $3,000 within 3 months or $4,000 within 3 months, and that makes it a little bit easier. And there's other, when I talk about tricks, you want to charge everything. If you're going to do this, you can charge everything to your credit card. So that means I charge my automobile insurance, my health insurance. I charge, medical bills. I charge, sometimes I even charge other people's things. Someone will ask me to buy something for them. Or like a lot of people come to me and they ask me for advice on airfare. And I say, yeah, I did the research. Here's the ticket you should buy. And they're like, great, thanks. I say, by the way, would you let me buy that for you and just cut me a check? And they're like, oh, of course. Yeah, why not?
That's a great idea.
I
would have never thought of that.
Yeah, we all go out to lunch and I said, you know what, let me put it on my card and you guys, and I'll submit the expense report, something like that. Or if you go out to dinner with your friends, my friends would all put 20, 30, whatever dollars of cash on the table and I'd scoop up the cash and I'd put down my credit card.
Back in those days, we could do that. That is a good idea.
Back in the pre-COVID days. But there's still ways to do that. There's ways to, and then the last thing, you could pay, for example, you could pay your Excel energy bill with a credit card. They charge you like a $5 fee. What I sometimes do is I'll just pay it a few months in advance. So I'll put $500 or $1,000 down in Excel, or I'll put $200 or $300 on my daily water bill. And if I really, really do, I might even go out and just buy a $500 gift card and hang on to that just to make sure I hit that minimum spend. That's another strategy. And then, obviously I still have that $500 on that gift card that I could use later, to make things work. You could load up your Amazon account. There's all sorts of things you can do. Hopefully $3,000 or $4,000 within 3 months isn't too big of a burden. This Amex Gold card, for example, they just recently increased the spending period to 6 months. So now you have 6 months to spend $4,000, which is something like, I want to say probably about $700 a month. About just under $700 a month. So, that's hopefully attainable. I know this is a tough year. Any other questions?
That's what we had for now. He did say he was talking specifically about the Chase Inc. business card. So I guess that one must have a really high.
Let me kind of jump ahead slightly. I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you guys, and I've just been studying credit cards for 12 years. I don't expect to be able to impart all that knowledge on you tonight. What I do want to offer everyone here is a kind of a credit card consultation, a personalized credit card consultation, a credit card makeover, if you will. And this is something I've done probably at least 20 or 30 times over the last few years because I find people act just like I would when being introduced to a new topic. I don't want to become the world's foremost expert on it. Maybe I want to know what I need to know, and it's a bottom line for me. And so the truth is, it's kind of like it has to be individualized. Everyone has different spending patterns, priorities, different goals, and I actually really enjoy sitting down with people for a couple hours. We can of course do it virtually and talking about what credits you have, what your travel goals are, what your spending patterns are, and then giving you a list of recommendations on how to achieve that. I get 2 or 3 things out of that. One is I get that experience of talking to real people in the real world, and I enjoy helping people, and that form my writing. 2, I do get commissions when you sign up through my links. So I'm happy to, of course, offer you those links, and that's one of the ways I make a little bit of money on the side. And 3, one of the things I've done, and this is, I guess, optional, but I've often done this in exchange for charitable contribution. This is not how I earn a living in terms of doing these consultations, and I don't know. I feel weird taking people's money. It's not the way I'm trying to earn a living, but I'm happy to accept a donation to a charity if you'd like to go that route. But I'm happy to work with you if that's just not feasible for you right now. So I can help people earn cash back, earn free travel, get out of debt. I'm just have a comprehensive knowledge of credit cards and travel rewards. So feel free to reach out to me. You'll see my email on the last slide again, and Sherry can get hold of me as well.
Yeah, that's really kind of you to offer.
Sure. So the most important thing about travel rewards, in my opinion, is how you spend your rewards. And so everyone in my field has this experience where a friend or relative, hears that you're interested in travel rewards, and they tell you their experiences. I earned all these American Express points or Chase points. Oh, that's great. What do you do with them? Oh, I love these points. They're great. I went out and I got a Macy's gift card with them. And I'm always like, no, you did not do that, did you? He says, why? What's wrong? I cashed out 10,000 points, or no, I cashed out 100,000 points, and I got a $100 gift card at Macy's, and I went out and bought all these great things. And I says, well, would you have rather had $500 at Macy's or a business class ticket to Europe? And they're like, what are you talking about? I says, well, those points, and this is true of American Express points, Chase Ultimate Rewards points, Citibank points, Capital One points, Capital One miles, all transfer to airline miles. And when you redeem those airline miles for business class international travel, they can be worth several cents each. When you redeem your American Express points for a Macy's gift card, it might be worth half a cent to 1 cent each. So I could get a $4,000 or $5,000 ticket to Europe in business class round trip, or $500 to $1,000 of a gift card. And so to me, it's a no-brainer. I don't leave the country and coach, and I'm kind of addicted to international business class travel every year or two with my family. Wife and 3 kids. That's a lot of a zillion points and miles, and there's no way I'm ever going to redeem it for a gift card or merchandise. That's because the gift cards and merchandise only give you a maximum of 1 cent per point or mile redeemed in value. The same is often true of in rental cars. So I'm addicted to those national business class awards. I've been all over the world. My kids have been all over the world in business class. It's great. Hyatt Hotels is a partner of the Chase Ultimate Awards program, and you often get 2 or 3 cents in value per point redeemed there. And it doesn't even matter if you're at a Hyatt Place by the airport and you spent 8,000 points and you're in a $2 a night hotel, or at the some Hyatt all-inclusive in Mexico that costs $600 a night, and you spent 20,000 points. You get great value. So avoid merchandise, gift card, rental car redemptions, and do your research on how to either get luxury, or not even luxury hotels, high-value hotels. Last-minute flights. This year's an odd year because everything's super cheap. But normally, if you had to be in New York, they wanted $1,000, and you were able to cash out 50,000 points. All of a sudden, you've essentially realized it's cents per mile or 2 cents per point in value. So that could be a good redemption. So how do you learn about points and miles? The Points Guy is the great, the really big site, the elephant in the room when it comes to points and miles. They started just over 10 years ago. They're owned by a very large company now. They have some really, really great writers there. I am not contributing right now because I have that full-time job where I compete. But up until this summer, I was a regular contributor, but it's great information. Another site's called The Boarding Area, and that's a collection of blogs by some really writers, some better than others, but there's a lot of information there. Flyer Talk is a bulletin board that has lots of great information. It can be a little bit difficult to navigate, and frankly, some of the people on the board are kind of rude and snarky and whatnot. But if you can filter through that and find the information you're looking for, there can be some valuable information. There's a website called Doctor of Credit, which is really kind of a insider's, almost like a gossip blog of really cool tips and tricks about credit cards. And the people who write it are anonymous. And every year I invite them to speak at my conference, and they decline. They under pseudonym, so it's kind of under the radar information. And there's local and national meetups. There's a, I don't know, maybe they'll meet on COVID. It's called Front Range Travel Hackers. They have a Facebook group, very loose organization of people who enjoy this kind of thing. Free Traveler University is a national series of events, and I've spoken at that before. The Chicago seminars are usually around Halloween time. You'll never guess where they hold. but they've been doing that for 10 years, and I've been there a couple times. I want to go back one day. And the Points Guy itself is starting a series of events. One of my friends who is a contributing writer there, kind of in charge of putting that together. Obviously, those events aren't happening this year, but I'm sure he'll do a great job next year. So that's kind of my prepared remarks. There was one or two things that jumped out at me as I was writing this that I didn't get a chance to throw in. I just want to talk a little bit about the difference between business and personal credit cards, because I did want to gear this towards travel professionals. At its core, there really is no difference in the sense that the credit card works exactly like your personal credit card. In theory, you're supposed to use your business credit card to separate your business expenses from your personal expenses, and you certainly could do that. But there's absolutely no reason you couldn't do that with two different personal credit cards or two different business cards. The fine print does say use your business card for business, but they'll never know or care if you use it for personal. Business credit cards do tend to have a little bit more bonuses or more likely to say office supply stores or shipping or things you're more likely to use business. And so I have a mixture of business and personal cards because you earn more bonuses and do more great things with them. So I do see some comments here. Let's see. They are anonymous here.
It's Daniel again. I'm copying him from the Travel Massive page.
Yeah, no, I'll go ahead and read this one out here, just in case people do not have the. So I take it you use your credit card points for airline mileage, free plane tickets, and hotel points for accommodations only. Do you pay for other travel-related expenses, or are you able to use credit card points for these expenses, such as meals, tours, and experiences? That is a fantastic question, because as I threw out there, I don't like to spend a dime unless I have to. So yes, I'll use them for plane tickets and hotels, but then how do I take care of what I call ground costs? So there's a couple ways you can do that. One example is the Chase Ultimate Rewards program. And it has an Ultimate Rewards travel portal where it's essentially Expedia. And Expedia, if you've looked there recently, has activities. Well, what's an activity? An activity could be a tour. An activity could be a transfer. There's I've even seen ski rentals on there. I've seen meals on there. So sometimes I'll go through and look for activities. And a good example, and I wrote this article for the Points Guy, is I went to the a Hyatt all-inclusive in Mexico. And obviously I used my Hyatt points, and because it was all-inclusive, there was no food costs, but I used my Chase points to get to and from the airport. I also used my Chase points to schedule some excursions in the region. Even a Cirque du Soleil down in Cancun I did, which included transportation. So in the end, my costs were zero. All my food, all my activities, everything was even my transfers and my air, of course, it was all paid using my points and miles. Another program that's really good for this is Capital One Miles. The Capital One Venture Card offers you double miles on all purchases, and miles are worth 1 cent each as statement credits towards any travel-related purchase. So it's possible to just, all your, a lot of activities, tours, rental cars, things like that, you can pay for with those miles. Now, what that essentially does is you're essentially, in my opinion, it makes the card kind of like a cashback card. And Capital One does allow you to transfer your Capital One miles to airline miles. So you potentially have that ability to get even more value than 1 cent each for your miles. So I'd be hesitant to do that if I was big into that program. But for some people, that can make a lot of sense. Next question here. I paid my daughter's tuition with my business card and also deposit on my Tesla. Oh, good for you. Between the two, I have hit the minimum spend for the Chase business pretty quickly. The other week, a few weeks ago, we decided to upgrade my wife's minivan. After striking the best bargain I could at the car dealership, I said, oh, and by the way, I need to put this on my credit card. And they huffed and puffed and complained and whatever. And I said, that's the terms of the deal. If you don't like it, I'll just buy a different car from somebody else. And and they grumbled. They said, okay, fine. And so I put, with taxes and everything, the minivan was $45,000. And I put that on my credit card. Now, I sold, I didn't have $45,000 laying around. I sold the old minivan myself, and that paid off part of it. And it was a hybrid minivan. I got, $10,000, $12,000 worth of tax credits for it. So realistically, it was about a $15,000 out of pocket that I was actually paying for it. But putting that $45,000 on that particular business platinum credit card gave me 60 something, 1.5 points per dollar. So it was like 67,000 miles I got out of that. So yeah, you can find some creative ways to do this. Putting your daughter's tuition can be a really good idea. I remember my parents put my college tuition on their credit card a million years ago. But many, if not most, colleges are going to charge you a fee, some kind of a convenience fee, whatever you want to call it. Those are illegal in Colorado, with the exception of the government and government regulated utilities. So I'm presuming if it's a public college, they got away with it. If they charge you that fee can be worth it to hit the minimum spend, but it's rarely worth it just to earn the miles. So, going back to this car example, if the Chrysler dealer charged me a 3% fee, that would be something like $1,200-$1,300, and I wouldn't have paid that out of pocket just to earn those 60,000 miles, because it would have been a tough call whether or not it'd been worth it, and I just don't like out of pocket to essentially buy miles. But every now and then, and more and more recently, I'm coming across businesses that want to charge me in Colorado, that want to charge me a fee to use my credit card, which I'm quick to inform them that's illegal. And I'm also quick to inform the Secretary of State, who writes them a letter telling them, please don't do that. So I just like the law in Colorado, and I think businesses should do it. Happy to answer some other questions here.
Yeah, I might have a couple of questions.
Sure.
First of all, I didn't know that about the fees. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And as a side note, I know I have a friend that pays all of his property taxes and taxes on his credit cards to get points.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty cool. But I guess
there's even tricks where people pay, like they overpay their insurance, or they overpay their taxes, or they'll pay their property taxes, and then their mortgage company will pay it, and then the city will give them a refund. So you've paid on your credit card, and then all of a sudden you get a check in the mail. But I don't really do that stuff. But I've had it happen.
Never would have thought about this.
Yeah, it happened to me inadvertently before.
Wow. So one of my thoughts was, you mentioned, there's obviously all kinds of deals out there where you can get X number of points for signing up for a credit card. Do you think that with the current situation we're in, that you'll see more or less of those, like better deals like that, or less?
Yeah, good question. So, excuse me, in the spring, those deals just like dried up. I mean, they still existed, but I heard people weren't even getting approved for credit cards with excellent credit. And that persisted most of the way through summer. Around August, things just opened up. It was like the credit card industry saw the light at the end of the tunnel. They saw the economy hit rock bottom and was coming back. They didn't feel like they were loaning money to people who were never going to pay it back. And this fall, they've come roaring back, just roaring back. Lots of great deals out there. And so the credit card industry is back. If anything, that might have been the theme of my conference this week. And I think we'll see lots and lots of new business, good offers later this year and next year. So we have another question online here. Yeah, what do you think of buying miles? Many airlines are offering great deals these days as they're trying to raise capital. Do you think this is a good idea, or probably not worth the investment? So the word investment would be the last word I would use, because when buying miles makes sense, it makes sense only when you're going to redeem those miles immediately for a reward. So let's say I'm about to buy a ticket to Europe, and let's see, it's $1,000 to go in economy, and it's $4,000 to go in business class, and I don't have $4,000 laying around, and I'm not going to spend that on a business class ticket. But I find that there's a buy miles deal, and some airlines have really, really good deals for buying miles. Most don't, but some do. And I can buy, let's say, 150,000 miles for $2,000. And I looked it up, and I know I can immediately redeem those 150,000 for that business class ticket to Europe that would have cost me $4,000. So now I'm spending $2,000 to buy the miles. I'm redeeming the miles, getting essentially $4,000 in value. You've done great if you've done that. But let's say I'm thinking I want to go to Europe next year sometime. I don't know when. So I spend that $2,000. I buy the miles and I sit around waiting to use them. And every time I try to use them, I find miles aren't enough to go to Europe. The airline's charging me more than I have, that they're not making miles available, mileage seats available on the flights I want to fly on. And in the end, next spring, I hear that they've devalued their program. They've jacked up the number of miles required for everything. And so I've essentially purchased an asset that depreciated. And that's what happens. The miles are worth less and less every year as the airlines devalue the programs. So I would never invest in miles, but I would consider using them, purchasing miles instead of paying cash for a ticket, if of course I was going to save money doing so. Next question: when should I use my airline miles versus my Chase rewards to pay for a ticket? That's a great question too. I mean, you should do it whenever whichever option offers you the least miles, the least Chase points. So, for example, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the points are worth $0.015 each. So let's say United Airlines has a ticket to New York for $150. I can redeem 10,000 points for that ticket. Well, then I go to United Airlines, who's also a Chase transfer partner, and I see, well, if United's asking 12,000 miles for that ticket, clearly I shouldn't transfer my points to miles because I'd have to use 12,000 instead of 10,000. So I do the 10,000 and I do it on United, and that's also a revenue ticket, and I earn a few miles from that. I also earn credit towards elite status. And so that's actually what I did for a few years, what I've been doing for several years now with Southwest. Excuse me. What I'll do is I'll redeem my Chase points directly for paid Southwest tickets. And because I was flying Southwest so often, I earned elite status on Southwest without spending a dime on them. And I did that rather than transfer the points to the rewards program and redeem those points, because when I transferred them to my rewards program and I redeemed them, that did not count as a revenue ticket. I did not earn credit towards elite status. So having elite status on Southwest doesn't do a whole lot for you. There's no first class, but it does give me the priority boarding, and it does give me standby for earlier flights to come home, which I, for whatever reason, every time I go to a conference in Las Vegas, the minute I'm done, I'm at the airport 10 minutes later, and 20 minutes later, I'm boarding a flight home. Even though I booked the super cheap flight at 11 p.m., I usually make it home for dinner.
Nice.
Yeah, you like that trick?
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
This is I can't even believe what I'm learning.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you come to an event with a bunch of us travel rewards nerds, and you learn so much just from eating breakfast with a bunch of travel rewards enthusiasts, and you make these connections and you become friends with people, and they there's all sorts of forums out there. There's all sorts of Facebook groups and things like that. I'm not particularly into to the Facebook groups, but I actually just like conversing with people and learning directly from my friends.
Huh. Well, this is really cool because I am one of those people that I have like 2 credit cards actually, and that's it. And that's all I use, and I pay it off every month, and I don't ever think about the points, nor did I ever consider that like fam trips or PR or like press trips for me that I could get points on them. So it's interesting.
Yeah, you always put your flyer mile number in. Even on a fam trip, give me your hotel number. The worst they could do is not give you any points. I mean, so you might as well try. This fam trip I took to Spain last fall, it was Hyatt and American Airlines, and they flew me out in business class on American Airlines, and I flew back on British Airways, which is also an American Airlines partner, and I got points both ways. It was great.
Huh. Wow.
Oh, look at that. Tim and Amy are here. They're my friends from Denver, and they were part of my conference, and they're seeing a lot of me today.
I know. Well, and actually, Tim, because they're part of the Colorado Travel Massive, Tim has actually written an article for my blog about how to use points and how to, build up points, because I told him a long time ago, I know nothing about it. It's just not anything that I've gotten into. So he actually wrote a couple of articles on my website. Yeah,
Tim really knows his
awesome.
stuff, and he's one of those guys I love. Both him and Amy, I love sitting down with them and trading not quite secrets, but tricks and tips.
I have one more question, and then we probably,
Sure.
it looks like we have another one from a listener too. But so back to like these special deals from cards about getting miles to sign up. Is there a place that you recommend to go and to find like where's the latest information on that stuff? Because you
Yeah,
you
I
mentioned
mean,
even the United app thing. I have the United app. I'm a member. Like I didn't even notice or
yeah.
see that
Well,
nor
yeah, you had to have the
consider
app and
it.
the credit card. Where did I
I
see
have
that trick?
both.
I think I saw it. Yeah, I think I found that one in the boarding area, or maybe it was Doctor of Credit. And
Huh.
you know the best tips like that usually get a lot of coverage. You know, someone will read about it and they'll write about it and link back to the original article. And that was just I haven't got the points yet. I might have to complain to them, but I think it's just one of those 6 to 8 kind of things. It was like the United Mileage Plus X app. The promotion's over now, but that's just an example. You know, sometimes I'll get something from Amex saying, if you add an authorized user to your card, we'll give you 5,000 points, something like that.
Wow.
Last month, Amex did a thing, and if you referred someone to one of their cards, they would give you an extra 3 points per dollar on everything. So I did that with my gold card. My wife referred me, I referred my parents. Now my wife and I on a 2 separate accounts get 3 extra points per dollar. So the 4 points per dollar you get for travel and dining is 7. And I get that
Oh,
for 3
wow.
months. So 7, not travel and dining, supermarkets and dining. So 7 points per dollar
Huh.
at the supermarket, 7 points per dollar on dining, including, you know, Grubhubs and Uber Eats and DoorDash and all that. That's huge. I am going to really go to town on that. You know, while that's valid for 3 months from about Halloween. So, you know, you stumble across these things at the time and you take advantage of them. And it's I don't know, it's kind of a fun community too. You know, I mean, you get a rush when you travel for free. You know, when you're in that business class and you didn't pay for it. And you know, the people around you spent $5,000 on their tickets. And, you know, I walk on board with my wife and my 3 kids and we still in the business class. And I'm like, dang, this is like $30,000 worth of airfare, you know, and it was all the shenanigans I did to earn the points were worth it at that moment.
I mean, it is pretty incredible. I've been traveling for 14 years, as you know, like all over the world. Only once have I taken a business class flight overseas, and that was last year.
Oh God.
Because I think it was Air Canada had upgraded for me. But like normally, and it was a whole different world up there. I'm like,
Oh,
oh my God, this is why I don't do this because I would want it all the time. But
it's like
anyway,
being in a
there's one.
restaurant for 10
Yeah.
hours. You know, I mean, they're you know, my wife says, you know, she doesn't even really care about the seat or the food. She just likes to be treated like a human being.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
is. They treat you so different. It's crazy.
yeah, they
Um,
treat you like you're in a decent restaurant. Excuse me, sir, can I get you another drink? I mean, you don't hear that in coach.
no, not at all. I actually had someone come around and shake my hand, and I was just like, back when we could do that. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, this is it was insane to me.
Oh, I've got like
Um,
handwritten notes. I mean, I've had caviar in first class. I've flown in Singapore Airlines first class, which is like its own little cabin.
oh,
And yeah, and because there was like nobody else there, they made up a separate cabin for me to sleep in, like a queen size bed. I mean, it was absurd. I wrote an article about it. It was like taking a cruise around the world in the
nice.
sky. I flew 36 hours from Delhi to Singapore to Frankfurt to New York.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and it was just like I did it on purpose just to like have fun, you know, just
Try it.
you
Yep.
know, yeah, just to try it. And it was all points and miles, and it was all free. And you know, I had lobster in the air, and I had a big bowl of soup, and you know, I'd close my door and fall asleep, and it was great. I've never even been on a cruise. That's the closest I've been on.
Okay, so we have, I think, one more question here from what I
Sure.
see. Can you see that one?
Um, okay, yeah. What about annual fees that credit cards charge? For example, many credit cards with high value, you could end up paying thousands of dollars of annual dues. How do you navigate this challenge? So yes, it's true. These credit cards have high annual fees. There's 2 things I point out to people. One is that, you know, a lot of these high annual fees are worth it in order to get in that really, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of free travel. So if I have to pay a $100 annual fee or a $500 annual fee to enable these tens of thousands of dollars of free travel, I'm okay with that. But more importantly, most of these credit cards with high annual fees have very large fee credits. So I'll give you an example. The Chase Sapphire Reserve, which I highly recommend, is $500 a year. You're saying that's crazy. Who would pay $550 a year for a credit card? Well, guess what? The first thing they do when you get that credit card is they give you a $300 fee credit towards travel, and I think towards a couple other things now. And you get that back instantly. The first $300 you spend, they just give back the first $300 on travel. And they do it each calendar year. So I'd get it this year, and then I'll get it next year. So already I'm $50 ahead. Before I think they're offering 60,000 points, which is worth a minimum of about, maybe you're offering 50,000 points. I don't know, it's worth $700 or $800. I'd have to look up exactly. So you have the huge bonus. Then there's other fee credits. So they're offering a $120 DoorDash fee credit right now. $60 this year and $60 next year. So you're actually coming out ahead. And I can go through 5 or 6 other credit cards and show you how, even though you're paying a big annual fee, the direct statement credit value of that fee, either approaches or exceeds what you're paying. So it's really, when you do the math, it's totally worth it. On January 1, I'll get all these new fee credits. I get like a airline fee credit from some of my Amex cards, and that Chase fee credit I mentioned. And I think I have about $1,000 worth of fee credits that I'll have eligible for me coming up in 52 days from now, and counting the days. But yeah, and that'll offset a lot of these, almost all, if not all, of the annual fees that I pay.
Yeah, and I actually, the one of 2 cards that I actually have is this Chase Sapphire Reserve, and they also just this year added the Lyft Pink membership, which you save 15% on Lyft, which for me, because I don't have a car here, is actually pretty nice. So
yeah, that's
and
great.
I've been using my DoorDash.
Yeah. I mean, there's you know about the DoorDash, or is that new to you?
Yeah, no, I knew about that one, but I found out about it because I was actually reading, because they had to offer things other than just travel, because lots of people weren't doing travel this year. So I thought they did a good job.
Oh, there's lots of that. The Amex Gold Card is offering $10 a month. You could use it Grubhub, and then next year they're also going to offer, in addition, another $10 a month. You could use it Uber Eats. So $20 a month. That's $240 of credits, plus another 100 air travel credits. So that's $340. The annual fee, $250. So you're coming out $90 ahead. If it's not hard for me to. I do a lot of pickup. Like I'll just pick up lunch for $10. So I definitely use up all those credits, and I'm going to come out ahead on my $250 card. I'll come out $90 ahead. Ooh, my daughter
That's great.
crashed into my door here.
Uh-oh. Well,
right.
that probably signals that we're out of time.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, well, I don't think I have any more questions, it looks like, coming in, but and we've been on here for a little over an hour. So this has been really fascinating. Jason, thank you so much. I think why don't you, because we don't have that screen up anymore, if you want to give people email, or I know I have your Twitter ID, and I guess it's also your Instagram ID up on the screen.
My Twitter ID is @real Jason Steele, and Steele with an E at the end. My email is Jason D as in Daniel, Steele, and that's STEE, at gmail.com. So Jason D Steele at gmail.com. And feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to do a travel consult, or just refer you to some of these card offers. I love helping people with this stuff. It's always great to talk about free travel. It always brings a smile to everyone's face, and I'm looking forward to a lot of travel next year.
Yeah, me too. Let's hope so. Thank you so much. I know you're always an active member of our Travel Massive Colorado group, and hopefully next year we'll be able to get back together in person when appropriate. I know. And when we do, I will buy you a drink. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you. I'm so much looking forward to it. I think the next big in-person event I go to, I'm just going to hug everybody and start crying. I thrive on interacting with people who, I have something in common with.
I know. Well, this was great. I hope everyone learned a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Another just reminder, check out the social events by Travel Massive. Jules is doing the global scavenger hunt on December 1st. So sign up for that and see what that's all about. I'm sure it'll be fun if Jules is involved. So thanks everyone for showing up. We are signing off, and hopefully we will see you next year in Colorado.